We are glad you're here for another great episode. We are going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects today. But first of all, we have the one and only money coach Mary RN and myself, and we are excited to bring to you Sandra. Now, Sandra is one of those people that has been in the financial world for many years. She is one that is able to know and help you get into that right boat. And so she's bringing one of my favorite topics, and that is investing. Because once you get debt free, then you can get into the real money. Instead of paying interest, you can earn interest. And so we're going to be talking about this topic today. So, Sandra, we are glad that you are here today. Thank you for coming on.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be live on your podcast and be able to talk to your audience about investing. I used to be a financial advisor, but I'm still a financial coach. So, and like, I love the idea of people building wealth. It's the only way you're going to become wealthy is through investing.
You know, and I think one of the biggest keys is you said it right there, the only way. Because
Right.
the one trick that I love telling people with a good coach, on the average, you can get debt free in about a year and a half. Once you are debt free, with the same Gonzale attitude, you can become a millionaire in 5 to 10 years. This ain't by thinking, oh, I got the system and I can go do it myself. Actually, being Gonzale and actually doing it the proper way is where you can make it. So, we are glad that we're diving into this because this is one of my favorite subjects money. Who doesn't like money?
Yeah. I mean, is growing money while you sleep? Your money grows while you're sick, while you're on vacation, while you take medical leave. That's what I love about it. Actually, whenever I go on vacation, it seems like the stock market always goes crazy. So I love how I'm not working, yet my money's working super hard for me while I'm not earning any money at that time.
Nice.
It's funny you say that because, like, in Microsoft, way back in the day, right? The head of Microsoft was Bill Gates. While he was sleeping, he was making, I think it was $3.2 million per second. And even while he was sleeping, he was making that kind of money. Now, a lot of it was investing, a lot of it was because of all his products. So there was a lot of reasons why he was making that much money, but it doesn't matter. That's how much money he was making doing nothing, sleeping, you know? And so if you invest enough, you can get there too. But I mean, even if you're making $1,000 a minute, isn't that wonderful? We got to start out somewhere, right? So what if
Yeah,
you're making $100 a minute?
yeah, and that's what's incredible about it. It's making money while you're not doing anything, and it's your money making money for you. And I think even this year, my investments, they've done well. Unfortunately, we've had some bad stock market days since like the last week. But before that, when I checked, it had been up over 400K this year, and I haven't invested at all. Yeah.
Yeah. You said the key point because I know last year, some of us were making, over 25% interest, and it
Hmm.
was phenomenal. It was a great year. Now, on the average, it's about 12%.
Yes.
However, you have some good years and you have some not so good years, but as long as you stick with it, it always averages out.
Mhm.
Now, when I seen last year, I knew that was not going to stay. So I was like, "Yay!" Like I was way up there and all that kind of stuff too. But the thing is like I knew it probably won't be this good next year. That's fine. But as long as you stick with it, it always averages out. It always stays about the same. And you never know. And when it starts dropping, that's not when you pull out. You don't pull out when it's dropping. You just leave it because it's going to go even higher when it comes back up.
Yeah, and it's the opposite of what what your brain is telling you to do when the stock market is really low. Like right now, we kind of had dips since like Friday. This is when everything's on sale and people should be buying even more,
Right.
right? Instead of selling and
Buy low, sell
buying
high.
everything at a discount. Yeah.
Yeah. It's on sale. We all love a good sale.
Nope, that is key. And I love how you put it. Um, it's on sale. We all look for those once a year times, right? Black Friday and Cyber Monday, after Christmas. Those 3 big days, they're like the biggest shopping days of the year, right?
Yeah.
When you get the best prices. Well, with the stock market, you don't pull out because that's when you lose money. But when it's down, that's when you add more money in.
Mhm.
And especially once it starts going up, now you're too late. But the stock market does this. So when are we at our lows and when are we at our highs? It's a gamble. You know what I mean? That's why it's
Yes.
key to have the professional in that field to manage and handle that for you. Because I don't know about you, I have enough that I think about. My
Yeah.
brain would explode if I had to try to figure that out
Right.
too.
Same.
Yeah, my early attempts at my do it myself investing were pretty terrible. And believe me, when people ask me, are you sure these things don't work? Well, what I'll tell people is I've done all of them. And that's how I know they don't. I've done single stock investing, I've done robo advising, I've done Robinhood, I've done all different types of, I bought things on margin, I've done options. And I'm not saying you can't earn any money in the short term, but in the long term, and the best thing you pointed out, which is not free that people don't realize, is your mental energy and time is worth something. And
Yeah.
when you're in some type of high stress job or you're raising a family, you don't have time to be monitoring all these things in the market. And then what you do as a inexperienced investor is you overreact to things. So there's this gyration where you're buying and selling things and readjusting. Should I reallocate? Should I rebalance? Should I get out of this? And it's just, you have to be very level headed and think critically long term. And that's one of the best parts of partnering with someone, a financial advisor, is that they're that other person. They're that sounding board where it's not like you're going into Robinhood and now you're going to switch up all your investments now.
Well, and
Well, having somebody like that in your corner is so important because that's what they do. That's why they're licensed and that's why they stay within the education.
Yeah. Yeah. And they study that all day long and
Right.
kind of understand investing
Right.
behavior. And I remember when I had my first financial advisor, I remember the first time my portfolio dropped over $5,000 in a day. And I messaged him. He told me not to worry.
He was right, wasn't he?
He was, he was. Now looking back, it was a bit silly because you shouldn't be messaging your financial advisor every time your portfolio drops. I'm like, oh, like, did you see it dropped $5,000 in a day? But that's part of why it's good to have that sounding board, that extra person you go through, and
Absolutely.
you're not letting go of control of your money. You're not giving everything over because certainly, like I said, I was logging into the platform. I could see my account balances. I probably shouldn't have been checking them every day, but I can see for myself where my money is and how it's doing.
and I love how you brought up a good point, and I'm just gonna uh, expand on that a little bit more. You talked about having the right professional.
Yes.
He is when you have a financial coach, which all three of us are financial coaches. When you have a financial coach, they can get you out of debt. They can help you in that way. They help the behavior. They help the person. The advisor helps the money
Yes.
and they help that. So with the behavior and the money, they work together. Now, the coach should not handle both aspects because they're a professional in the behavior. They're not the professional in, even though we know how to, we don't touch it. We don't touch the money. In the same aspect, back in the day, financial advisors would only handle the money.
Mhm.
But now some of the financial advisors is like, oh, we can do both parts. We can handle the advising and the coaching. And it's like, I don't know if I'd want a professional handling both because jack of all trades, master of none, or a master of one and you have a couple masters.
Yeah. Yeah, you made a really good distinction about financial coaches and financial advisors. And I'll comment on what I think financial advisors are trying to say when they say they can help with the behavior. But I'll tell you why I don't think they're good at it and they're not incentivized because they're not really paid for their time, right? So I think the only people who would maybe benefit from that is someone who hires potentially a financial planner. I think that's very specific, where they do more of the planning and they would meet the client more regularly, but they won't meet them every month or every other month. They won't even meet them weekly or biweekly. At best, a financial planner might meet them like once a quarter. So if you're not pretty squared away on budgeting, you're have a debt reduction plan, you have a good grasp of credit cards, they're not there to like hold your hand. They're not there for financial literacy. They're gonna do like at best quarterly check-ins. We're like, how are you doing on your financial goals? Let's revisit them and let's see how much progress you're making. But they don't have I wouldn't say the patience, the time. It's not really their job to walk someone through like budgeting questions or my car got totaled the other day. What do I do? Unless you happen to have a lot of money sitting in another account, the financial advisor's answer is not going to really, tell you how to go finance or how to go
Right.
fund another car debt free. So it's just very different. So I think it could work for someone maybe a little more experienced and they just want maybe the accountability, but just their model is not to work with people for these longer sessions to work on the behavior and the mindset and all that. It might be like the difference with them is if you say you're struggling with the budget, you don't know where all your money's going, you have no idea how your money's spent. A financial advisor, financial planner would be like, oh, well, here's a free resource for a budget template. They're not going to walk you through it. They're not going to check up on your budget or anything like that.
The other point you gotta that I see with that as well is the hidden agenda. I make money off of the percentage. So depending
Yeah.
on how much you're investing is how much money I'm going to make. So I'm going to tell you things and it's all going to be geared towards giving me more money so I can make more money.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate, but true.
You know?
And it's so funny because I would always tell people when they were shopping for financial advisors and trying to see if they actually abide by the baby steps, when they were interviewing them, a great question to kind of suss them out would be something like, okay, I have $98,000 in student loan debt. How much do you think I should be investing? And the typical like AUM financial advisor would probably say something like, you should split half of, the margin you have left in your budget towards student loan, and then half we need to get you investing because you need time in the market. We need to get that compounding going. So you're right. They do have this other vested interest where they don't make a lot of money off their time they're giving you, but they're like, if we can get you to invest more, we make more money off that. I actually had, I'm not going to name the company. I had a really bad financial advisor in my 20s, and that's the kind of advice I got that I needed to invest. It was crazy thinking about how much they told me I needed to invest so I could retire peacefully. They told me I needed to invest $1,000 a month, and they wanted me to do whole life insurance also. So just imagine, even in nowadays dollars, trying to tell someone in their young 20s they need to invest $1,000 a month. That's a lot to come up with.
Right.
And
Yeah.
$1,000 back then is like $10,000 now.
I
So
know, and I
that's
just I just didn't have it.
you
So
know,
when someone phrases it like that, where it's kind of like an all or nothing, then you're kind of like, well, I guess I don't have it, so I can't do anything.
Right.
mhm.
Yeah.
But they try to get you feeling in a way it's like, well, I have to come up with that because I need to invest. They try to get you
Yeah, they
that pity
scare
party.
you, like you're not
Yeah,
gonna be able to retire.
you know,
Yeah.
and so they throw that pity party, and then you actually go deeper in the hole because you have to make that $1,000. You know,
Yes, and then the whole life insurance, yeah, that was a whole other thing. That was terrible. I sunk so much money into it and did not get the money out that I paid into it. So,
Right.
yeah, and I'm with you on there. Most of them are scams. We had a whole episode on one of them of how they scam seniors. And
oh,
so
oh,
they didn't even get what they put in, much less anything else. So it was interesting, but that's a whole long story.
It's a
yeah,
podcast in itself.
Yes.
yeah. But yeah, you brought up a good point. Financial advisor is kind of a loose term and title, and there's some insurance people that are masquerading as financial advisors, even
Right.
as financial coaches. So just be careful about understanding what type of products or services they're selling and seeing if there's a conflict of interest.
No kidding.
And that's why, like, I love a good coach, right? Like I said, I have two coaches that I have, that I pay for. A
Mhm.
good coach does not want all the business. They don't want to take. They're not a one and done. It's not I handle everything for you. You don't have to worry. I don't care who you are. I don't care a financial advisor,
Yeah,
coach. I don't care who you are. Don't handle everything. A good coach loves to collaborate with others. They collaborate with other coaches because each coach is good in their area.
absolutely. No, I
So
totally agree with
like
that.
my both of my coaches, they know I work with each other, right? They're not like, oh no, you don't need that coach. I can do everything. No, they're like, no, 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 you need them. And the other one's like, no, 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 you need them.
Yeah.
So a good person, a good, ideal person will know that you need to collaborate with other people. And that's where the key bonuses are.
Yeah, I love that because I'm very hesitant when someone says, I'm a everything, I'm a branding, marketing special, I'm a business coach. I can build your AI systems. It's like, you can do everything? Because then
Yeah.
what are you truly good at if you say you can do everything? So I totally agree with like, you have to just stay in your lane sometimes. And it's heartbreaking because sometimes you're working with someone, and I'm sure you've run across people that may have had like it seems like they have mental problems or they have alcohol or substance abuse problem. And to try to advise or help on those type of things where you're out of your depth, it's a disservice to both people. Like, you're
Right.
not doing a good job, they're not going to benefit from it. But it's part of, helping them find the other guidance or help they need. And I also find a lot of people in their coaching, in financial coaching, they're also probably working with a therapist. They might be, working on their health or fitness, and that
Mhm.
would be like a health or fitness coach or
Right.
nutritionist and things like that. And you never want to discourage them because,
Mhm.
they're trying to improve multiple parts of their lives sometimes.
And this is key. And, our personal development growth, we should have so much of our budget should always be towards that. And that's not just this area, that's your whole personal development. That's books,
Right.
that's events that you're going to, that's your coaches, that's everything should be a certain percentage of your budget should always be catered to personal development, you know?
Yeah.
And I have this one coach that I love. So like I can coach anybody, but the thing is as we get into certain areas, it's like, you know what? When it has to do with taxes, I have this coach that I bring on. It's like this coach is going to work with us,
Mhm.
and then the two of us work together. They handle the tax part. I handle this part. We stay in our lanes. I help people start businesses. But if they want to trademark, you deal with this guy. If you want to do this, I have different people that you deal with everything. So a good coach realizes the strengths of other people. And when you come into that, oh, you know what? This person's going to work with us here because they can help you out in this aspect. Or I recommend you talking to this person because they're going to help you expand better here. I can't help you as good as they can.
Right.
And that's where the true experts come in. That's why like a good financial advisor is going to be like, yes, I can make you millions. But I want you to work with this person as well because they're going to help you keep the millions. I can get you the million, they're going to help you keep the million. And that's where the key is, you know, that collaboration.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. I also describe it as the financial coach. If someone hires a financial coach, they're trying to help you build this really good financial foundation, right? So you should be regularly budgeting, you should have money in savings or working on your savings. You should
Right.
working on reducing your debt or have a debt reduction plan. But then when you add in that other piece where you hire a financial advisor, you start investing, that enhances all that foundation that you built. So when people are so eager to do it so early, I always tell people it's just there's just so many competing goals. It's hard to win in anything, right? And I think that's also the beauty of the Dave Ramsey baby steps. It's that it's focus, it's a priority, you're being super intentional, you're making progress in something, and then you're going to move on to something else.
It's what I do with a lot of my financial planner partners. It's like they look at what I do and they're like, "Oh, you play in the weeds. You get them out of the weeds." Yes, I play in the garden, and then we collaborate so that I do my thing and you do your thing, so that the client benefits maximally.
Yeah. I
You
like
know,
that. That is a good way to describe that.
You know,
yeah. They're like, I don't have time to hold hands. That's what I do.
Yeah, they just
They
don't.
don't.
They just the way they're paid is so
Yeah,
different,
yeah.
and that's one. It's the good and bad because I was an AUM financial advisor, and sadly, you do really have to chase down the people that have more assets to invest or that
Sure.
can invest because the people that want a lot of your time don't. If they have a $5,000 Roth IRA, you're almost losing money spending any time on them. So that's what's so unfortunate about it because you can't really give them the time because you're not making any money off of it.
well, you know, the
Right.
funny thing is when one of my first offices, we had 7 financial advisors in that office. I was the only financial coach.
Yeah.
Now, each of those financial advisors, every single one of them, they wouldn't even touch you unless you had at least $1 million to invest.
Oh,
And
you
I
were
was
working
like,
for a good one then, or a
yeah,
big
I
fan.
was like, ouch. I mean, when I was just starting out at that time, and I was like, I can't even use you.
Yeah, so when I was a financial advisor, they give a really good analogy um, that makes a lot of sense because on one hand, you're like, well, I want to serve the people that only have 200 or they got that $5,000 IRA or they got 100K to roll over from their 401k. And when you think about like when I talked about the time model, the amount of time you have to spend with them and you're not making very much money off their assets, they describe it as like you have a bus and these are your clients, right? So let's say there's 100 seats on the bus and that's all you can have. And the only way you're making money is off how much they invest. So
Mm.
you're kind of like shuffling people off the bus at a certain point. Or it's like you'll see a lot of it where a client gets passed on to another advisor all of a sudden and people wonder why, and it's because that client, I mean that financial advisor is probably trying to build their book of clients so they can take you on their bus of 100 seats, right? Yeah.
It was remarkable because being in that office, I learned a lot how financial advisors work and stuff like that. And for the
Wow.
most part, they only deal with a client for like 5, 10 minutes. Now they'll when you first set up with them, yeah, they're with you an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it takes. But then they only meet with you like 5 minutes. Well, here's how your portfolio's doing. This is, you've increased this much this year, and basically like check-ins. And I suggest that we start doing this and this and this. What else are you going to be adding to this? You know, so I was being that I was so close to them, and I mean, in professional offices, it's not soundproof. So I mean, you can if they have their door open, you can hear everything. and a lot of them wouldn't close their doors. If you close the door, you wouldn't hear nothing. But
Mm.
I got to hear so much of how financial advisors work. It scared me.
But no, you're absolutely right. They don't really have a lot of time to check in with you. They're not going to be like, well, David, what's changed throughout the year? Do you have different financial, did such and such go to college? Are you going to buy another? They just don't have the time for all
Yep.
that. And
Nope.
especially at that high net worth level,
Hmm.
they're probably fine, those clients getting that type of service where it's more of a check-in. And I remember even with my financial advisor, a lot of times I had to prompt that yearly conversation to even happen.
Because they forget about you. They want to talk to you once a year because they want to get more money from you. But Sandra, when was the last time I talked to you? And they've got such a busy schedule. They're not looking at, because they all have, thousands of clients, and they're not
Yeah.
looking at all their clients to see who did I talk to a year ago.
Right.
They're just trying to get the next client and the next client. If you need something, you'll contact me.
Yeah.
You know. So now you have these new financial advisors. They try to dabble in everything. Oh, we'll take somebody for like $1 as long as they invest $1. But we don't need you. We can coach them as well.
But
What?
really, can you?
Yeah. Are you really purposeful? Are you actually aiming for what you need, or are you just trying to grab anything you can? You know. And unfortunately, I'm going to flip it on the coaches. Coaches do the same thing. When they're just starting out, they nip and try to grab everything.
Oh, you're
Well,
so right. You
well,
know what?
I can help you invest.
Yeah.
No, you can't. Actually, with a coach,
Like
if
I'm a
they,
leadership coach. I'm a resume coach. I'm a career. I'm like, come on. I'm a
you know,
career coach. I'm a business coach. I'm a whatever type of coach you want to be. It's like,
I have all
you know.
sorts of hats.
yeah.
So, and the thing is, like with a coach, if a coach is investing, no, actually, let me rephrase it. If a coach is helping you invest and they don't have that license, then that gets into a lot of problems.
Yep.
So, like, I know
Oh,
some really good coaches, they'll give you the keys. They will never tell you how they invest. They have over $300 million and they actually teach you how to invest. And when you ask them, well, where's your investments? Well, I have it in this, and this type of stuff. Well, no, where do you invest? I can't tell you that. Get with a financial advisor and they're going to help you. Well, I want to know where to invest. I can't tell you that. I'm not going to because you need to do the research. No, the real trick is he doesn't want to get in trouble.
yeah. There's so much liability with that people don't realize. I also see it a lot with people getting bad advice from family members and friends. And the thing is, sure, the advice is free, but
Get what
there's
you
no
pay for.
liability for them if something happens or they mishandle the money or they point you to a bad investment. Yeah, there's so much compliance and there's so much oversight for financial advisors. That's one part of it I did hate. But then when I see people talking about them like how they're scummy and terrible and thieves. I'm like, I mean, this is like they're struggling a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
I think the statistic is in the first year that 90% of financial advisors quit the business. It's a tough business. It's
Yeah,
a tough, tough business. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can
it is.
imagine.
Yeah, and it's funny because I'm not going to say what specific type it is, but there is a certain type of investing that is really big. And people will tell you, people that don't know anything, they'll tell you, oh, you need to invest in this because this is what's really going to make it. When all the other stuff falls, money fails, and all this stuff fails, this is going to be what true and stays. But when you really look at that, look at the history over the last 30 years, it's still the same thing.
Mm.
It has not grown. Now, yes, it grows, but it grows like this. Our money also grows like this. And it's staying pretty much where our money is. It hasn't gone past where our money is.
Right.
And if you look at the history, is that really a good investment? Hmm.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's where getting a good advisor, doing your own research, because I don't know about you guys, but when my financial advisor says you need to invest in this, I don't just say, yes, let's go for it. Well, why do you say that? Okay,
Yeah, that's good.
you
Yeah,
know?
you should look into it yourself. I
Yep.
totally fully believe in kind of like you have to co-partner with your financial advisor.
Right.
You
Hmm.
can't just totally let them take control. And I really do sympathize with all these people that get scammed. I do believe it's true. I think it happens a lot, unfortunately. But I will say, I don't think it happens in cases where you're inquisitive, where you're asking for appointments, where you're logging into the portal, where you're asking, why are we moving investments? I'm not saying you can't prevent all of it, but I think you could prevent a lot of it from just from being engaged, inquisitive, asking questions, making it really clear, like, this is my money. I'm going to make decisions about it. I want you here guiding me and helping me with my decisions, but I will make the final decision. So it's just so sad when I see people get burned by these financial advisors because they're people that have probably never checked their account for like 7 to 10 years or things like that, or never communicate with their person.
Hmm.
Yeah, so they do get a bad rap from time to time, but I think there's a lot of ways where you just have to be discerning and questioning and keep up with it.
Well,
It's
I
kind of
had this one guy, and I would never recommend doing this, but this is how he was. He would take so much money, he would give it to one financial advisor, and then he would give so much to another, and so much to another, and so much to another.
It is, yeah.
He gave each one $50,000. And if they made him money, the next year he would give them 100,000. If they didn't, he would pull the money out. Well, and he didn't care what you did with it. He just trusted you. He just gave you the money and let you see what you did. Now, I don't want to lose my money like that. I'm going to ask a few questions to make sure that's my financial advisor that I want to use. And if you've
Yeah.
done the research to find the right advisor, do you really need 50 of them?
Yeah, and to do this weird testing with these small amounts of money. Yeah, I've never understood why people do that because, like you're talking about, you have the right to interview them, to ask them questions, to talk with them like a normal human. So don't put them on this pedestal that you can't ever question them, you can't ever reach out to them. Yeah, that's weird. I've heard of people doing that where they're like trying to test the person, and it's just. I've been in that situation too, where I had someone reach out and they wanted me to help them with some money, but they're like, "I'm only gonna let you handle like 30K, and then I'll see how it goes." And it was like a bazillion hoops to jump through, and it was weird because even just to help him, there has to be a level of trust. So he would send me
right.
these statements with like the numbers, the account numbers blacked out. And I was just like, let's just not work together. Okay. Let's end this now. Because if you don't even trust me to help you move, and it was a lot of work just to get the $30,000 because it was trapped in like this annuity and all that, and he was going to lose money all, and so it was very complicated. And it was almost like this test, like if you can get the money out and invest it, and it's like, okay, but you're sending me documents and you're blacking out like the account numbers.
And how am
Like,
I
how
supposed to
can
do
we
anything
work
with that?
together in any like? And I was just like, there's just no trust here. Um, Good luck. I hope you find another advisor to help you with this.
Or share your account numbers. I don't know.
Oh no, he wasn't gonna do that. So I mean, he made some weird excuse around it. He's like, you don't need to see it. I'm like, well, I can't move the money then. Okay, like I don't
Right.
know why he didn't
Do you
understand.
want me to do what you want me to do? If so, I need access to the system you want me
Yeah,
to
so
do.
but it seemed like we already had a relationship built on distrust. So
Yeah, yeah,
I just
right.
didn't want to go any further because it's like it felt icky for even me to work with someone like that. Yeah.
Well, it makes perfect sense because you're wasting their time and you're wasting your time. If there's not going to be that trust factor, what are you doing?
Yeah, and I think that goes
beating your
back
head
to
against
what
the wall.
David was talking about with that other person, where it's like, let me
Yeah,
test you with a little bit of money here and a little bit of money there.
yeah,
And it's hard to have a good relationship built on this distrust.
right, right.
So I wanted to make a comment earlier. I had to wait, but I'm going to make the comment now. Um, we have one of our favorite people here, and he loves surfing. So we were talking about making money in our sleep. I want to make money when I'm surfing.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
But I had to wait to make that comment. So I know it's a little bit past, but I had to wait for that.
Oh, I really like that. I like that. I always talk about making money while you're pregnant, sick, sleeping. My favorite one is vacation because I just love the idea of, you know, I always explain it to someone as there's no way to really justify going on vacation. It's just spending more money to be in a different place. From an economic sense, right? It makes
Sure,
no sense to
sure.
actually go on vacation. But then sometimes I used to be really frugal when I was on vacation. But then when I like look at my portfolio returns during that same interval of time I'm on vacation, I'm like, well, it did like 50K in like 7 days or something. So it's like me
Okay,
like trying to circle around to get cheaper parking
yeah.
in some city
Save
that
that quarter.
I don't live in, or like me not paying the valet, when I go to a restaurant, it just seems absurd. So it's nice to put those things in perspective sometimes.
Love how you said that because not paying the valet. Also, another thing is not paying the waitress when you go to a restaurant.
Yeah.
That doesn't hurt the business. That hurts the waitress or waiter because they have to flip your bill then. And so not only are you not tipping them, you're also taking from their tips because they have to cover your bill. So yes, I agree with you. That's distasteful and just do the darn, just pay it. You
I never
know,
thought of it that way because, sometimes I think what people will justify when they're on vacation is they're like, I'm in this other city that I don't live in. I'm never going to visit this restaurant again. I'm never going to come across this waitress. So why should I tip more than like the bare minimum? Right.
hmm
And it doesn't make
Yeah,
sense because, like, in your local area where you visit the same restaurants, you might run into
right.
the same waitresses or wait staff. It makes more sense because you're like, yeah, I want to be well taken care of. I want them to, recognize me when I come in the restaurant, do a good job with my food. But it kind of doesn't make any sense when you're on vacation if you think about it.
hmm
Yeah, you're right.
Well, the funny thing is when I'm on vacation, I'm actually one of the strange people, right? Because I like certain things to be taken care of, and I'll go in there and I'll tell them right off the back. And sometimes they don't believe me, but they always find out. But it's like I always tell them right off the back. I'm a very good tipper. I don't want to see the bottom of this cup. If I see the bottom of this cup, you lose part of your tip. I let them know up front. And so they're excited, and some of them will, well, we'll see. Some of them are like very rude and just like, yeah, right, you're probably just saying that. And they're the ones that get the low tips. But the ones that produce, they're like, oh my gosh, you know. But you take care of them, they will take care of you. And even if they don't, on the same scale you sow, you will reap, right? So if I'm taking care of other people, if I'm taking care of Mary, Sandra's going to take care of me. Not exactly, but that philosophy.
I love that because I never thought of it that way. Because I think what you're doing a really good job of is you're setting the expectation when you go in there, so there's no doubt. Because that's so I used to be a server for a while, and what I hated was when I opened up that checkbook, I never knew what I was getting because it never seemed to actually equate to my performance. And that was one thing that was very hard for me to understand when I was younger. Now I understand as I've gotten older. Some of it has to do with charm, personality. Did they connect with you? But I'm like, no. If I did a good job, if I got them their food out in time, and I got them all their refills, and I fulfilled all their requests, I didn't understand why I didn't make a good tip. And I love where you're setting more of the expectations as more of a system where it's not like, oh, I have to compliment him on his color of shirt or his eye. You know what I'm saying? Because there's some people who play the very flirtatious game, or I'm very charming, or I have a quirky hairstyle. So, and I hated all that variability in that, where it's like, what? That person's slower than me, did not put in the food order for like 15
Right,
minutes, talked
right.
with everyone, but then they just showed up and like kind of like giggled and and like, where are you from, and flirted with you, and they would make a better tip. So I like how you kind of have a system, you have criteria, and you're letting them know it's not so subjective. I don't know if you're into Ramit Sethi, but he's been talking a lot about traveling. And he gave a really good tip that's similar to what you're talking about. He actually talked about writing a letter to the hotel you're going to stay at when you're on vacation and kind of setting those expectations. And, you're setting preferences where you're like, okay, if there was to be a welcome thing, I prefer, berries. I don't drink alcohol. Like you're just letting them know different things. You're like, and
Mm.
I want my room to be turned over every day, or for your person, you don't want them going in there every day, every other day. And he had people writing him saying like, well, I'm not like you, I'm not wealthy. Is this gonna work? He's like, you know what? Maybe it doesn't, but maybe it does. He's like, people like to make
Right.
people happy. It's like you
Mhm.
never know. So what's wrong with just putting it out there?
Right.
It's not like you're being this diva and you're being ultra demanding. You're just letting people know your preferences. So you could say something like, "I prefer to be in a first floor room. I want non-smoking, no balcony." It could be as simple as that, right?
Mhm.
And um,
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I love that because
in
you're letting
chat we
people
had a
know
really
how
good
to serve
point.
you. Yeah.
You know, in chat we had a really good point. And it was stated, if you can't tip, you shouldn't even go out. And that's a very good point because
Mm.
nowadays you can call Uber Eats, you can call DoorDash, you can call whatever you want to
Right.
do. They can bring the food to you. So even if you're going to eat out, you don't have to eat out. If you can't afford the tip, stay home. That's a very good point. I love that.
Oh.
Well, you want to take it further. If you can't afford it, you probably shouldn't even be Ubering it, eating. You should
True
be making
that.
your own food.
True. You know, eat at home. No, make it. So, but yeah, you mentioned the hotel thing. I go to a lot of hotels, and now I only go to a certain brand. And in my profile of the brand, it lets them know exactly what I want. I want this type of a shower. I want I give them all the specs right in my profile. So as soon as they see me, and you'll actually see it because I can actually log and see, they'll actually assign me a room pretty much about 24 to 48 hours after I book. They'll assign me a room already so that I get all my specs that I want.
You know what? And it's probably just because you ask. A lot of people don't ask or think about these things, and
Hmm.
it's very subjective. And yeah, I like how like you know what you want. You're just letting them know your expectations if they can try to meet them. That's a great way to go about it.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I don't know who you're talking about, but I love him. Writing letters to the hotel. I love that. One of the things I love doing, speaking of hotels, is, and I mean, this goes along with investing because you're investing your time. But I love getting to know who the GM is, who the managers are, who the front desk people are. Because the thing is that's how you're going to get connected. If you're a person, entrepreneur, business owner, executive, you want to do things like this because they're going to line you up with the people that you need to talk to help you grow. So
Hmm.
you're investing your time in, like, I would go and have a relationship with a certain GM or something like that because they're sending me clients, right? And they know what I want because I'm talking with them. But if I go to you, Sandra, or Sandra, and just say, hey, you know what? I need A, B, and C. And then I come to you next week, hey, don't you have any A, B, and C's for me? How likely are you going to help me versus, hey, Sandra, you know what? I got to tell you something. You told me last week about your kids. How are they doing? That's wonderful. I'm so grateful. Oh, and by the way, your sister was going on vacation. Did she have fun? Oh, that is so awesome. By the way, have you talked to so and so about me yet? You know, it's so much easier to kind of flow those kind of things in if you're having a relationship with somebody.
Oh, so how do you go about doing this? Are you saying when you stay in a hotel, you ask to speak to the GM and you meet and
No, not when I go out because I can't all the time go to those hotels.
okay.
But my local areas and stuff like that, I like to have relationships. Uh, I
Oh, I see.
I did try to build relationships with hotels that weren't near me, and it got too hard to manage. So I stopped doing that because I can't really have that relationship, especially management teams and stuff like that. They don't want to meet with you over Zoom. They
Right.
don't have time to come up with these things. They're too busy. When
Mhm.
they meet with you, it's because you're there, you know. And I'm not going to travel to Minnesota um, once a month just to meet this manager that might give me some business.
Right. And
So
not far either.
I don't do that just to any hotel. That's specific hotels.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. I
And
like
usually
that.
those hotels I don't stay at. I might go there for breakfast, pay their breakfast fee or whatever, but I don't stay in the hotel because I'm local. I don't need to.
Well, back to investing, what type of barriers or obstacles have you seen through clients or other people that you know regarding investing?
It's a very good question. And so it's it's really key when you're setting up parameters and knowing where to go because there's one client I had that it was funny because they were just doing a Philly flop
Mm,
and wherever the person wanted to invest. We can invest in here. Okay, great. And here, great. But
mhm.
they weren't diversifying. We teach people that you need to diversify in four categories. Well, I actually teach people you need to invest in three ways, and one of them is in four categories. But one of the ways you want to invest, you can't invest to start out. You have to do other investments to get to those investments because they are higher amounts. Um, but you always want to have parameters set in. So when he was first starting out, he was just going everywhere. Well,
Mm.
when that part started going down, he didn't have the other parts to balance him out. And so as I was working with him, I had to kind of like show him, okay, you've done it that way. Now, can I show you a different way to try it? What if you tried it for just for 1 year? Just try it 1 year, see how it works. Do the same investings, but diversify it in four categories and see what that comes with. After his first year, he was like, oh my gosh, how come I didn't do this before?
Good.
So setting parameters of how, just like going to restaurants or going to hotels, setting those parameters, you know what you want.
Mhm.
Set those parameters. You want to make $1 million this year? Well, if you go to the bank, you're not going to make 1 million. So how are you going to set the parameters so that you can make the million? Now, obviously, one, you're going to have a professional that's going to do that for you, but the professional is going to throw money anywhere and everywhere. Unless you set the parameters for them, they don't know what to do for you. Like I myself, I had a financial advisor, and I went and talked to him, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we can do this, and we can." I was like, "Okay, we're gonna stop right there, because we're not gonna invest in those kind of things. We're not gonna invest that. I don't invest this way, and I don't invest this way. This is how I invest. Now, do you want to work with me or not? Oh yes, 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 definitely. Okay, how can you help me in these parameters? And we got
Oh, I
along
like
great,
that.
you know. So learning where those parameters are, and everybody's different, but we, as financial coaches, we know the basic parameters that you should want to invest in, the ones
Absolutely.
that will work. but each person is different. So, for instance, company A, I don't like company A. It's a good company to invest in, but I don't like it. Fine. If you don't like it, don't invest in them. Company B is good too. Invest in B. Okay, great. I'll do that. Some people have just quirks that they just won't do. You know, I went through the same investing stuff that you guys went through. I also went through another course that was for geared towards a certain group of people
Hmm.
and helping them invest in that way. So what my idea was, is I was gonna take the principles we learned, apply these, and combine them. When I went through this, and there was another one of our type of coaches that went through the same program I went through, and we both came under the assumption is like, yeah, I like the idea, can't really implement it. So it was kind of like, we're just gonna stick here because this works. But you don't know until you try it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And simple and boring sometimes is the best way to go.
Good, wise person told me the best book in the world to learn how to grow, how to actually succeed in life in anything that you do. And it surprised me because he held it behind he hid it from you. And then when he pulled it out, it's this very tiny kid's book, The Tortoise and the Hare. It's not the fast one that wins a race. It's the steady, slow one that wins the race. And that's key. I don't have time to focus in on my investments. I don't have time to focus in on that. I'm too busy already. I don't need to be a busybody and going into different areas that I don't need to go into. So I set the
Yeah.
parameters, let him do it, and then I just focus on what I need to. I don't have to worry about that. Once a quarter, I go in and take a look what's going on. Sweet. I like it. Doing good. Um, any changes, I always kind of look at, do a little bit of research. Okay, yes, no, maybe so. But other than that, it just sits there. That's the way I like it. You know, it does its thing. I don't have to worry about it. My advisor doesn't have to worry about it because he knows it's in a good place, right? He's
Yeah.
watching it, so if things go crazy, he'll give me a call, be like, I think we need to take a look at something. If he calls me and lets me know that, I know there's a concern because he don't freak out. So if he's calling me, it's like, okay, let's look at it real quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
But for the most
Yeah.
part, he doesn't call me, which is good, right? No news is good news, right?
Yeah.
True. True.
But no, you're right. It's his job to worry about it every day. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yep. And I just have to say this. So there was a very good point mentioned in chat. And when we're going on our journey, a lot of times when we come up to it, there's going to be a fork in the road, A
Mhm.
or B. And we know this. And then when we come up to the fork, we're like, what do we do? Where do we go? And what was mentioned in chat was getting people to part in their journey that they can invest is the fun part. So when they come up here, they come up, they're ready to invest. They know they have to invest. But it's like pay for an advisor, very small part. I mean, it's a very small, I mean, like really small, like you don't even notice it.
Right.
And it's well worth it. Pay for an advisor or invest myself. Well, if I invest myself, I can make more money. And so, I have to invest. Okay, let me go this way. But if they went this way, they would actually make more money, and they don't really pay that much. What they make in addition to, they're still going to make more than what they have to pay out.
Yeah, I totally agree. When I first started the baby steps, I was at baby step 4. I didn't have debt. And that was the hardest thing for me to want to do, to pay a financial advisor. Because, like I told you, I did quite a bit of do it yourself investing. And all I really learned was how to lose a lot of money very quickly in about 2 years. So I definitely learned the tough way, where it was like I wasn't saving money. It was causing me so much more mental energy and
Right.
time. And I made far more money actually investing with an advisor. And yeah, it's just the fees are pretty nominal, but it's that do it yourself, it's that frugality and wanting to save money and everything that kind of gets some people. But no,
Is
it's
it wanting to save money or is it they don't want to spend money on certain things?
maybe they don't want to spend money on certain things. But then I'll also tell people, look, you really only have one life and you really only have one retirement, so you kind of got to get it right. You don't have
Right.
like 10 different opportunities to try out different scenarios and choose your own adventure. It's kind of like if you're kind of messing it up, you don't get another do-over on how to retire and retire
Right.
with dignity. So,
There will be no retirement if you don't do it right.
yeah.
You
You'll
mentioned
be the Walmart greeter.
at 70 years old. You mentioned a good point, and so that brings me up to a very key thing because we want to do it right. So I'm just gonna. I like to mention three things, and so first of all, I'm gonna mention. Well, I'm gonna make a special announcement that is strange that I normally don't, but next week we are not gonna be here. We are taking a pause next week, but we will be here the following week. So don't be shocked if you don't see a podcast next week. It will be here the following month, or I mean the following week. Okay. So with that being said, also we have a very good interactive place where you can go, you can meet people, you can talk with people, and have it interactive where it's a little bit more personable, a lot more can come out of it. The link is in the description below. And we have a community here, right here on YouTube. All you have to do is click the community tab, get joined up, be able to connect with other people. And we really want to bring people with like-minded. This here is all about personal development. So you're going to find categories in pretty much everything personal development to help you grow. After all, that's what we are about, is growing. And so today was a very good investing talk where we were able to discuss and dive into investing. And we went from a lot of aspects of investing from different spectrums. It wasn't just one. We were like in a lot of areas of investing. So I think this was very good. And Sandra, we are excited that you came here. And I know you have some things that you want to share with us.
Oh, yeah, if you want to check me out somewhere, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. I have a website, engineerherpath.com, and I do one-on-one financial coaching, and I do it virtually. And my niche, my specialty is women in STEM, but I'm also open to serving others. So, yeah, just check me out on social media if you want.
And her website is in the description below as well. With that being said, Mary, is there anything that you have to say?
The same thing I say every week. Y'all just need to do the darn thing and get done.